Hello, hi, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Amber. I do a lot of beauty, nail, and fashion videos. If you like that kind of stuff, make sure you stick around and subscribe. So today we're checking out this Azure Beauty dip powder kit. They were kind enough to send this to me. It's one of those affordable, kind of beginner friendly value kits from Amazon. They have 20 little mini dip powders, and then it comes with a 4-piece liquid set. So honestly, like really great set for the value. This kit goes for $26.99 on Amazon, and if you have Prime, you get it, in a couple of days. So for the amount of dip powder and color selections you get, really honestly good value. So today I'm going to go through the full dip process. I'm not going to go too specific step-by-step detail into the process simply because I was really just doing this manicure for my birthday nails and not really doing a full tutorial. So instead of step by step, we're just going to kind of casually throw some dip on my nails. I did this really cute color combo with some marble nails, and I'll show you how easy it is to achieve that marble look. They're customized nails, they're easy for beginners. And if you have a kit like this where you have 20 different colors, neutrals and sparklies, and all kinds of cool stuff, you can create a lot of designs. So these kits are fun, and if you are a beginner, it really gives you somewhere to start and experiment and get your process down without having to invest a whole lot of money. So, if you are interested in this kit, I will link it down below, so check out the description box. So I'm just starting with this white color. It has a little bit of a pink tint to it, but honestly, you really couldn't tell after everything was said and done. I'm starting with the base coat. And this set comes with 4 pieces of liquids. You get, of course, the three you need to do your manicure, your base, your activator, and your top coat. But it comes with a brush saver. And honestly, as somebody who's done dip for many years now, you need the brush saver. It is almost impossible to not gum up your liquids and get your brush all hard and crusty. And the brush saver just honestly fixes all of that. So get yourself a brush saver if you don't already have you one. So I'm going in with a full layer of base coat. So instead of doing like a 3-step where I kind of walk up the nail and create that apex and that arch, I'm just going to do a full coat on the nail. And then I will use my filing to create a perfect shape. So everybody has their process, whatever works better for you. I've done it both ways. I feel like it's just like whatever mood I'm in at the time, whatever look I'm trying to create. So for this one, I was more focused on getting the color on my nails so I could do a cute design. And I knew with this set, I was going to have to do some filing anyway. Typically, when you do the Amazon value sets, you're not getting always the prime luxe type quality you would get for some of the other larger name brands out there. Knowing that, you might just have to do a little extra filing, and that's totally okay and fine with me. So I've thrown a layer of this white on all of my nails. I decided, on the other hand, to go ahead and do a layer of each color that I'm going with instead of doing this layer of white. I feel like it kind of created a bit of a chalky base for me, and this color was not the easiest to work with. So going forward, I didn't do a layer of white on the other hand. So just kind of sharing that tidbit with you should you purchase this kit and try it out yourself. The gray colors went on a lot smoother. You'll see on this nail, I'm going into the lighter gray color here, and it went on a lot more smooth. And so when I did the opposite hand and did all 3 layers of the gray, it looked even better. So just a little tip from somebody who's already completed their mani and looking back in retrospect. So I'm just taking my time and making sure that I'm getting a nice good layer of the base coat, that I'm covering all of that white since I'm going on with the gray. I didn't want to have any white peeking out underneath. And so I'm just making sure that I'm getting that done. And what I do is I mix up my color with the wood stick first. That's very important. It loosens up the powder, it makes it lighter, airier, fluffier. And then when you dip your finger in, you're almost going at an angle and kind of scooping the powder up. And that way you're not going stark in there at an angle into a hard chunk of powder and getting that shelf. If you get that like shelf or that big chunky uneven powder, it's probably because you're not stirring up your dip powder first and you're not kind of scooping it in at that angle. You'll notice if you're not doing that, try it. The dip powder is just fluffier and lighter and it just goes onto your nail a lot more smooth. So try it out. Excuse me. So I went ahead and did my pinky nail in the gray color here, and this dark gray color and the light gray color are so similar, but the dark gray was just a hair darker and even just a little bit smoother to work with. So I really liked the little bit darker gray color better than the lighter gray, but they ended up both being really, really nice and really pretty. You can see the coverage on the darker one just looks a lot better, even on that first coat over the white. So now I'm going to go back in and I'm just going to put a layer of white on the other nails. And I'm putting that base coat starting at the tip. I like to start at the tip because that's where I want the bulk of the powder to go and then kind of work my way up to the cuticle. I'm fluffing up my powder here and going in and tapping off. And then any little bit that I have around my cuticles, I'll use the wood stick to trace around my nail and just sharpen up that cuticle line, dusting off the rest of that powder and making sure that I'm getting that nail to look as good as possible. Now, I just pointed out that that last dip came out a little bit chunky, but it's all right because we're going to file it down here in a minute. We'll smooth it out and it'll be just fine. So making sure that I'm stirring that dip in between each time I dip my nail in the powder. It really does make a difference. And then starting at the tip of my nail where I want most of the product to go, and then working my brush up towards the cuticle, making sure that I'm not flooding or going too high with too much product too quickly. I'm taking my time, tracing it around the sidewalls and the edges. I really want to be precise, especially on this third coat since it's my last coat, and make sure that I get good coverage. I cover any of that little bit of white that's peeking out and that I'm just getting a good even coverage here. So making sure that I'm spending enough time, but also moving fairly quickly so that my product doesn't dry out on me. And then just kind of scooping in at an angle, coming up, and then tapping off. And that is the dip process. That's what works for me. I give it just a couple of seconds to sit, and then I will just fluff off any powder that's on there. Now, if you have a slower drying liquid or it's running through the powder, then you might want to wait to dust it off until it seems like it's fully dried. This one and most dip that I've worked with seems to cling onto that powder easily enough, and you're able to kind of fluff it off ever so gently. You don't want to pull that product off your nail. So, just some pro tips from somebody who's been doing this for a hot minute. I get really impatient and try to cut corners, and then I end up messing up my nails, and it makes me so angry. You spend hours on a manicure, and then you just end up ruining because you rush through something. I've been there. I know you've been there. So do as I say, not as I do, right? So we're gonna go in with that pinky nail on that dark gray and preach in here, stir up my powder, kind of dip it in an angle, and then tap it off. And this ended up being, I think, my favorite color of the bunch, that darker gray. It was so easy to work with. It was just creamy, buttery, full coverage on like the first coat. By three coats, it just looked beautiful. And I just love that dark stormy gray color. So that one was definitely a keeper. So now I'm going to show you how I put together the marble dip powder. I'm throwing some white down as my base and just evening that out. And then essentially what we're going to do is create a marble pattern over the top and then layer a nail down into that pattern to get the design. I do that by picking up the different colors that I've been working with through the mani. So I'm using this lighter gray first, and I'm just putting little bits of it randomly in different places to represent the different marbling lines in the marble or that marbling effect. Going in with the darker gray, same thing, just putting a little bit here and there, different places on the edges of the lighter gray in its own little spots. And then I'm going to pick up this sparkly color that I'm going to go in with here in a minute as a little bit of extra detail. And this was just like a little bit of a grayish, sparkly-ish, really light, pretty color. And it just adds a little detail effect. But I'm going to swirl my wood stick through just ever so slightly just to make a little marbling kind of effect. And look at how pretty that looks. So that's the area that I like the best. That's where I'm going to target laying my nail down in. So I'm going to get it set up here. I'm going to take my base coat. I'm going to lay a full coat down, and this is the third coat on my white nail. So I did 2 coats of white, and then this is going to be the third coat, covering every area, making sure I'm paying close attention to those edges and getting the nail covered just perfectly, especially on these detail nails. We're not going to be able to go back over with another coat because it will mess up the marbling detail. So we really want to pay attention and make sure that we get a nice good coverage on that nail so that when we lay it down, it's perfectly covered and we don't go over it again. So here I am just laying it down flat, pushing it all the way into that powder and making sure it's covered, tapping it off, and then there we go. Look at how beautiful that turned out. Isn't that pretty? And it's so easy, right? You have to try this. If you haven't done the marble technique, you have to try this. Every single time you do it, it comes out a little different. Play around with different colors, put some glitter, try different textures in it. You can just get so custom with it, and it's so unique and it's so simple. It takes 30 seconds to throw it down and lay a coat on top of your nail, and it just jazzes up a basic manicure and makes it look so nice and like you spent so much time on it. So this is how I kind of get a fancy salon type mani with different colored nails and details and accents. Just super easy for any beginner, and it's just it's easy to do. So here I'm going in with the second nail. I'm going to choose another area that I really like and lay that down in it, same as I did the first nail. And there we go. Beautiful. I love it. Turned out so, so cute. I am going to go ahead and add a few more details on here so that we just take this up another notch or two. But you could leave it here and just throw your activator a top coat on. And I mean, it would be so beautiful and so cute. But what I'm going to do is add just a little river of glitter on this nail to tie into those marble nails. And I'm just going to take my brush from one end and just kind of drizzle it down like you would a river. Make it a little different, a little unique, thin in places, thicker in others. And then just go from one corner to the next. And then I'm going to take that glitter powder. I'm going to lay it just right on top there to pick up that glitter. And then there we go. Doesn't that kind of look like a geode or the inside of a crystal or marble? I just feel like it just kind of goes with the marble theme. So nice. Now it's time for step 2. We're going to pull out our activator here and struggle with getting the cap off for a few seconds. And what I do is I heavily saturate all of the nails and I go over every nail twice. You really can't overactivate, but you really can underactivate, especially on this big chunky nail. I really want to kind of saturate it. It's going to get into all that chunky powder and really make sure that it's thoroughly going through and hardening it so that when I take a file to it, I can file it away and I won't have big, fluffy, chunky bits coming off that didn't get fully hardened. Does that make sense? So especially if you have a chunky nail like that one came out, really saturate it good so that you can file and it comes off and it looks great. For the rest of my nails, they came out nice and thin and they looked good on the shape. So I'm just doing a standard one coat and then going back over and doing my second coat. But I always make sure to do 2 coats of activator on my nails and really saturate through all of those layers. I like a bit of a thicker dip, so I'll typically do 3, 4 layers. And with that case, I really want to make sure it's thoroughly soaked. So we're going to give that a good few minutes to dry, and I'm tapping on that chunky nail to make sure it sounds nice and hard and feels like it's hardened, and it is. So I'm going to go through with my hand file, and this is just 100, 180 dual side Amazon cheapy super value set file, and I'm starting on the corners and the edges, and then I'm just going to create that shape first and go around. And now I'm going in a little bit tougher and a little more hardcore on those chunkier parts. I typically wouldn't go in on my nail with a file like this if they look like the nails on the other four. They came out smooth, the shape looks good, and they really just need to be shaped up a little, maybe buffed a little on the edges. This one was just a hot mess of chunky, chalky white powder, and it really needed to be taken down quite a few notches. And so that's why I went in hard with that file at first. And now I'm going in with a buffing block, just making sure I get that shape right, taking and dusting away the powder. And then when everything was said and done, the color on the white just didn't look amazing. So I decided I wanted to cover it with this glitter just to kind of hide the patchiness in the white powder. And once I did that, it came out perfect. And I remembered to grab my wood stick and shake up the powder, stir up the powder so that it wasn't chunky again. And it came out so pretty. Just a little hint of sparkle really on the white. And I really like how it came out. So here I am just dusting off that extra and cleaning it up. I really enjoyed how this manicure came out. All the little details, they all tie in together, the whites with the marble, with the gray, with the sparklies, and it was just such an easy manicure to pull off. So if you are a beginner and you want to do something that is beginner friendly, that's easy, that's not a whole lot of money, I think this kit is a good value. Overall, it's going to be decent quality. I enjoyed it. I would use these powders again. Knowing what I know, I would avoid more of the chalkier powders and go with more of the darker colors that were smooth. Those grays were just beautiful and they came out really great. So this is a good manicure for a beginner or a good kit for a beginner to start with. And this manicure is a good manicure for a beginner who may not know all the fancy tricks, but wants to pull off something that looks really put together and it's easy to achieve. I guess that's a long-winded way of saying check it out. It's easy to do. You're going to like it. It's really customizable as well. And then I wanted to show you this glass file because I cut my cuticle with that dark file, and this glass file is so much more gentle on your skin. You're so much less likely to get those file burns and burn and kind of cut yourself. So I will link all those tools and things that I get off Amazon below, but you can see I nicked myself with that file. So I switched to the glass file because it's a lot more gentle. And then I'm just going through and activating that last top coat. And I decided to go ahead and activate all those nails that I just shaped up and filed just to get rid of any little bit of dust that it might have been settling into the edges. And then the activator is what cures the top coat. So you want to make sure after you file, you have a fresh coat of activator on there. But you also just want to make sure that you let it dry fully and that you take and kind of wipe off any remaining on the top of the nail with the edge of your paper towel. Now I'm going in with the final step, which is top coat. Now that we've applied all of our colors, we've applied all of our designs, we've filed, we've reactivated, we've wiped off the activator. Now it's time to seal in our beautiful work with a top coat. This top coat was really nice. It came off nice and shiny. It was thick, but not too thick, not hard to work with, but just the right amount to give it that beautiful kind of thick top glass shine. So I'm just taking my time here and doing the first layer of top coat, making sure I'm covering all the nails. I'm getting into the cuticle, I'm getting into my sidewalls, and I don't want to be flooding to where it's pouring over, but I want to make sure that I seal in all the work I did on my nails. If you don't cover everything with top coat, if you leave your edges and your tips exposed, or maybe you don't fully encapsulate the nail in that top coat, then you can have lifting, you can get water up under those nails, and then you're going to lose your manicure a lot faster. If you take a little bit of extra time and really just make sure you follow those steps to prep, to activate properly, file and shape. Take your time to get your top coat on there, seal in all your edges, get everything in the shape looking nice. Then you're going to have a gorgeous manicure that you love that lasts for a couple of weeks. So don't cut corners. Make sure you spend your time. I know because I get in to an hour of doing my nails and then I'm just like, oh goodness, I lose patience. I start cutting corners and then before you know it, I messed up and I'm upset. So I'm really excited that this brush gunked up on me because I get the chance to show you that brush saver that I was talking about. So here's the brush saver. I took that top coat brush that gunked up on me and I put it in the brush saver and I'm going to go ahead and set it to the side. This kit comes with like a little nail file and extra brush heads as well. So I was able to grab one of the new brush heads and go right back into my top coat and I didn't lose any time. We've all been there. We've all had a base coat or a top coat brush gunk up on us in the middle of our doing our nails. And if you don't have brush saver and extra brush heads, oh my goodness, your whole mani is on the line. But you could see before that top coat even dried, I had a new replacement brush head, and then that old gunky brush head will be as good as new in that brush saver. So here we are, 2 coats of top coat. Now I'm just giving it a good couple minutes to fully dry. And movie magic ahead of time. Here we go. Look at how beautiful that mani ended up coming out. Don't mind my dry, haggard cuticles right now. It'll look a lot better. I'm going to show you a little movie magic. Abracadabra. And boom. Both hands done. Don't you wish that it was that easy? I'm going to go ahead and clean up my hands, scrub my nails, make sure everything looks good. And here is the finished product. So on my left hand here, I did 3 coats of each color. So it does look a little bit more intense and better color payoff. And here I'm showing you one of my favorite hand oils. I've switched to oil recently over lotion and just been trying to get a little bit more natural on it. And this oil I'm just absolutely obsessed with. So if you're interested, I'll link it below as well. I get it off Amazon and I just love it. So here is the final product. I'm all nice and oiled up. My skin got a drink and looks a lot better. Look at how pretty the marble came out. I love it. The nail thickness is just how I like it. Just wanted to show you real quick. These are all the tools I used, the oil, all the files and everything. So I'll link those down below, but I'm also going to do a quick giveaway. I am going to throw some of these to the local nail school, but I'll pick a handful out and send one of you lucky winners some dip powder. So just make sure you're subscribed, leave me a comment down below, and I'll pick one of you to win this kit. And if you're interested, check out the description box. I'll leave a link to this kit from Amazon below as well. Thank you all so much for watching. Make sure you enter the giveaway, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.